It looks like the people of Russia might be slapping Putin's pecker too. My boy Black Doug sent me this video. We're going to go ahead and get into it. I just got off the phone with him. He gave me his thoughts and opinions on it. And I'm going to say I'm pretty excited to see what this is about. So let's get into it.
For Russian President Vladimir Putin, the war in Ukraine is now going from bad to worse.
Oh, it's so bad.
Fires are raging in and around Moscow at oil refineries,
It's
missile
so bad.
factories, and the Azov chemical plant, a key military supply facility. As the Drudge Report headlines scream, Ukraine bombards Russia, 660 drone attack, Crimea emergency declared, Armada overwhelming Putin.
This is absolutely insane. We have been saying that Putin is a little bit delusional, and I don't think that he is fully acknowledging what is going on. It seems like he just kind of keeps brushing things under the rug and hiding in his bunker because it looks like a lot of people are trying to potentially assassinate the man or his his surrounding elemental people that seem to have his back that are starting to disappear from the world. So this is kind of crazy. 660 drone attack. What? Crimea emergency declared? Like, yo, this is nuts. I was wondering if his alliances and the people that he was aligned with would start to turn their backs. This is crazy.
Russian-installed officials in Crimea declared a state of emergency today in the face of intensified Ukrainian drone strikes on the peninsula. Now, long lines have been forming heading to the bridge that joins Crimea to southern Russia.
Thousands of Russians are trying to escape Crimea, a peninsula that's been under Russian control since 2014.
And we said in this last video, I was talking about, like, the Russian people, y'all need to get out of there. Y'all got to go find safety, go somewhere else. This is not your guys' war. My boy and I, we were sitting here talking on the phone, and I really appreciate his mindset and his philosophies. And at times, we don't always agree on things, but we always respect one another, and we challenge each other. So whenever he called me about this, and he was kind of like, the good versus the evil kind of thought process and mentality. And I'm paraphrasing here. I'm thinking about a lot of things right now, but basically, that and we haven't gotten to this part of the video yet, and I don't even know where it is or what it's talking about, but he was basically saying that it was said, like the general saying that there's a potential, like, we are going to overthrow Putin and the Kremlin, which, could you freaking imagine that? And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but I want to kind of pay attention and look out for it, because I even asked him a couple times on the phone, all right, I haven't watched the video, I'm going to do a reaction video on it, so let me know exactly so I know what to look out for. So keep a freaking antennas up and keep your freaking brains locked in, okay?
But Ukraine has the peninsula surrounded. And now, adding to all the Russian losses and defeats, Vladimir Putin and his top deputies face a potential mutiny. Russia...
No salute? You're not going to salute? And what's going on here? That's disrespectful. I mean, you better salute your damn military.
Military units have begun posting videos threatening to attack the Kremlin.
There it is.
Fellow countrymen, we Russian soldiers stand in support of Alexander Lunin and firmly declare that this fire can no longer be extinguished. Lunin is a...
Whoa, dude, we might be getting a revolution. I've been saying this since the start. A government and a person in power is only so strong whenever the people decide to come together and choose each other and they choose to stand united. It absolutely can have a tremendous effect, because the government is only so big. A revolt, a retaliation, soldiers saying enough is enough, it will capture the attention, or they're going to go down in history. I mean, let's just take a look at what happened to Hitler. Let's take a look at how powerful he was and how he ended. He ended up, freaking overdosing in an eagle's nest, sitting there all freaking doped out, losing his mind. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how strong are individuals whenever the people stand together and united? And it's not even, it's like choosing peace through strength. You know what I mean? Like, there is violence involved, but the people hold so much power, and it's very important that the people understand just how strong we are whenever we stand. Because united we stand, and united we will fall. But we will not be dictated. We will not be pushed around. That is absolutely the mentality I think that we should harness as individuals, and to keep governments and to keep people of power in check.
a 39-year-old former Russian reconnaissance unit commander. He recently posted an Instagram video demanding a meeting with Putin and alleging that Russian soldiers are being tortured, abused, and punished for refusing orders to go on suicide missions.
Dude, the Ukrainians are treating casualties of war better than the own leadership, better than Putin himself. And these are his people. He's looking at them like they're part of this like incendiary machine or something like that. You know, just like a furnace, just pumping them in and just letting the fuel come out. You can't do that. That is not right. You need to treat your warfighters with respect, because without them, you don't hold any power. Without that element and without that freaking barrier in between you, you're just a man barking orders. And whenever there's nobody who believes in you and backs you, then you're not going to stay in power for long. You know what I mean? So just think about that, man.
This is an appeal to Russian President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. My name is Alexander Mikhailovich Lunin. I live in Lizinovka village, Rososhansky district, Voronezh region.
Okay.
I give you, Russian President Vladimir Putin, my word as a man that if you invite me to the Kremlin, I will tell you the real truth. The kind that none of your officials or subordinates will tell you. I will tell you the truth about what is really happening in the country right now.
In a subsequent...
That might be something that he needs to hear, because he sounds like he's delusional and in denial. And if you still want to remain in power to some degree, like, you might need to wake up and pay attention to what's going on here, bud.
Instagram video, Lunin made a direct threat.
Vladimir Vladimirovich, pay attention to this. Invite me to meet with you. The consequences will be very serious. If I do not come to the Kremlin and speak live next to you in the near future,
Confidence.
the Russian army will turn its weapons on the Kremlin.
The Russian army will turn its weapons on the Kremlin.
And then what?
Lunin's video has now been viewed more than 10 million times.
Pecker slapping.
And it has triggered other Russian soldiers to make videos of their own, echoing Lunin's calls for an end to the Ukraine war.
Sounds like enough is starting to reach enough. It sounds like we're starting to freaking redline and hop up there and get freaking mad, which is what we need to be doing. It's what you guys need to be doing, man. It's the same. You got to take back what is yours. You know, one man and a group of people do not run the entire freaking country. And if you let them run the entire country, then you're just going to be freaking disposable and you're going to be tossed to the side like a piece of trash. Which, has he not shown that? Has Putin not shown that with his actions?
Or else. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov says authorities are aware of the videos but will not comment except to call the Lunin video strange. The prospect of a military rebellion against the Kremlin comes as Russia's military has just reached another grim milestone. Headline, Russia has lost 500,000 dead.
Unacceptable. This is unacceptable. This is not tactical warfighting. This is not using your freaking military and your operators to the finest degree, man. Like, this is not okay. This is too many casualties. And this is just that are dead. There's over 1 million that have been injured throughout this process. So it's like, how much is enough? How many men have you removed from their families? Have you removed from their country? How many men have to go and die for land? How many? How many? When is it enough? It's not even your land, man. Like, you have enough. Don't worry about the Black Sea. Don't worry about attacks from frickin' whatever and whoever. Worry about the things that you control. You went from being one of the most powerful countries in the world to showing your hand of absolute weakness. And I'm sure you have nuclear power and you have all of this nuclear strength, but dude, what is that gonna, what are you just gonna sit there and hit a red button at the end of this? Is that your plan, man? Is that how you're gonna go out? Because there won't be a history to remember you, man.
Quote, Russia has suffered between 1.3 and 1.5 million total casualties in its war against Ukraine, with around 500,000 of those killed. A senior NATO official has said as Moscow struggles to replace its losses.
The men have to grow up. They need time to age right. And then if you're not going to freaking train them right and you're just sending them out there, they will die because there are war fighters who are trained, who are thinking tactfully, who are thinking moderate warfare. Now they're using drones and unmanned freaking mechanisms to take people out. The battlefield is evolving and you're still living in the Soviet Union, my dude.
On the sidelines of the NATO defense ministers meeting, the UK Defense Journal was told that Russia was showing signs of overstretch, with the official describing a staggering
Long
500,000
Johnson.
killed on top of
Not
a
in a
far
good way.
larger number of wounded, and noting that Russian casualties had been running at a relatively steady rate
freaking sad,
of between
man.
30,000 and
I feel so mad.
35,000 a month.
I feel so much for the Russian people and just like for humanity. Like, this is sad, dude. So many people have lost their dads. So many people have lost their husband. Their nation has lost their countrymen, dude. Like, so many freaking casualties. This is just unacceptable, man.
The frontline losses may soon intensify, in part because of this. Headline: Russia withdraws air defenses from frontline to protect Moscow. Quote: a new Pantsir anti-aircraft missile and gun system has been installed on a tower near Moscow's main oil refinery, which was hit in a humiliating Ukrainian drone attack last week. The deployment a few hundred meters from the Kapnovia oil refinery comes...
Go sit down at the table, take your ass to the table, swallow your pride, put your ego aside, and make a damn deal, because you're only going to make things worse, you dick weasel.
After Ukraine's successful strikes on the city, and reflect how worried Vladimir Putin is. The refinery, which produces 40% of Moscow's...
Just look at him. Do you guys see the confident Putin? If that is the Putin even. If we're talking about conspiracy theories, or we're talking about doubles or triples, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many freaking Putins are even out there, man? How many of them are there? Do we even know if we're talking to the right ones? I don't know what's going on, man.
Fuel is just 10 miles from the Kremlin. Part of the refinery during a Ukrainian drone attack exploded. And the damage has reportedly cut off 50% of Moscow's gasoline. And Ukraine continues to send attack drones almost nightly on a path to Moscow and other areas in Russia. Vladimir Putin has not commented on the attacks, but the attacks and...
What's he gonna say? Yep, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. I thought this was gonna go different. I thought we were indestructible. I thought we were invincible. I suck. Like, what else do you say, bro? Like, what are you working on?
And the headlines keep getting more dramatic. Russia hit by 660 drone overnight barrage targeting Moscow, Crimea, and key military sites.
Oh, smoke.
Ukraine has turned the tide of war.
So bad.
Ukraine now has an advantage over Russia in drones, counter drones, electronic warfare.
Ukraine's out there like, look at my Long Johnson. Look at us. Look at how freaking defeated they started out. And then look at how far they have come. Just honestly impressive. Their strength and show of force and their resiliency and their maneuverability has just been an absolute game changer, man. Like, if we're talking about chess on the battlefield, these dudes took a minute to make a decision, and they are showing their hand. Like, dude, they got the queen of battle out there right now doing work.
Long-range strikes with strategic impact, as opposed to what Russia does, which has civilian impact. Taking out Russian logistics. Crimea is now in a very perilous position because of the inability of Russia to provide supplies, including fuel.
Crimea is becoming very, very uncomfortable place to live.
Fuel?
So there are widespread power cuts across the peninsula, and the local authorities are warning residents that their power is not likely to come back anytime soon. And that's because Ukrainians are continuing to strike the power supplies, which makes any kind of repair works really impossible.
Well, especially if they keep attacking. Say that they keep attacking and they keep bringing these drones in. That's going to make more civilians flee and scared. Why would you stick around for that? I wouldn't stick around for that. I'm not even fighting a war that I believe in. How long can you stand beside a delusional man before you wake up and you're like, am I the delusional one for backing this freaking moron?
There are also fuel shortages, so much so that many gas pumps across the peninsula have run out of fuel, and the ones that have fuel have been banned from selling fuel to individual drivers. So it is really no surprise that people are trying to get out of Crimea as quickly as possible, and that's why we are seeing these huge queues of thousands of cars, because it turns out that even the escape route is becoming impossible, because the only way out of Crimea directly to Russia is through the bridge, and that bridge is also a target for the Ukrainians. So Russia has to shut it down on a regular basis, and the queues are becoming longer and longer.
I even saw in a video, I didn't watch the entire thing, I don't think. It might have gotten saved in my reaction playlist, I'm not sure, but I think that Ukraine may have attacked a pivotal railroad bridge, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was for fuel or supplies or something along those lines. They basically waited till it was in op and they were moving around and then attacked it. If you know anything about that, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that, or be referenced to the video so that I could cover that or just give my commentary. Obviously, I don't care about Putin, and I would never in a million years sit down and even talk to the man. I have nothing for him. I think that he's the worse than the scum on the bottom of my shoe, man. I think the gum that I stepped in last week holds more value than that dude.
Even the U.S. State Department says Ukraine is winning the war.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. The State Department, under the Trump administration, has declared that Ukraine is winning, and that for the first time since the war began, momentum is on Ukraine's side.
You know, Putin loves hearing that.
The war has reached an especially sensitive and potentially dramatic phase. Russian citizens are fleeing Crimea. Russian battlefield losses are piling up. Some Russian soldiers are threatening a mutiny. And there are reports that Putin's most hawkish advisors are now urging him to escalate the war and possibly use nuclear weapons.
That's what I was wondering.
U.S. analysts do not believe Putin will go there. But by all accounts, time is not on Russia's side. Ukraine is headed towards victory. And a growing number of Russian soldiers have had enough.
So here's the thing, and this is what I was wondering. I was wondering if it was going to get brought up, and like I cracked a couple of jokes about it earlier, because the nuclear power that Russia holds is absolutely something to pay attention to. And there is a dead man switch that sits somewhere out there where you just hit a button and like the world could possibly end, you know. That is a very real potential outcome, unfortunately, the world that we live in with all of the nuclear power that exists out there. So I wouldn't put it past the man, but I hope that he wouldn't be that unwise to cross that line, because there's some lines that you can't come back from. It would make more sense to withdraw, honestly, and just move on. But then your pride and your ego, and then how do you look to the world and stuff? Well, you still have all this nuclear power. So whether we like you or not, whether we sit here and make fun of you or not, we're still very aware of the potential power that you have. And it's not even potential. They do absolutely have nuclear power. It's just what it is. We know that. We know that for what it is. But at the same time, is that what you want your legacy to be? Is that the way that you want to go out? What does that trigger within the entire global world economy? Like, what does that look like for us? What does that look like for our alliances? What does that look like for your enemies? Like, you know, how would China feel about you just freaking dropping nukes? Because nukes are good for nobody. So if you start kicking off nukes, potentially bringing a lot of outsiders into this war. So like right now, it's just, you know, Ukraine, Russia. You start bringing in nuclear and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden you got the rest of the world coming and showing their up like, what are you doing, bud? So I really appreciate my boy sending me this video, man. If you're watching this, thanks, dog. I love you, man. I hope that you are going to hop on here soon and do some stuff with me whenever you're ready. We can get set up and go into some of these things. Maybe eventually I'll get into live. He asked me if I was going to do live. I don't think that I'm 100% there yet. I like to make sure that I know what I'm putting out here. There is a little bit cussing that's going to come on this channel. I know I originally said that I wanted to keep it friendly for the youngsters and stuff, but I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm an infantryman. I cuss a lot. So for me to sit here and change that completely is a little difficult. I honestly don't think it's too bad for us to say a little curse words every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to go ahead and make that known. I like to be transparent and whatnot, but let me know what your thoughts and opinions on this, man. I know I'm sitting here cracking jokes, but a lot of good people have died, and for what? For land? Come on, man. All right, we're past that. We're pretty established in the world. I don't think we need to go fighting each other for land too much. That's going to come back around in a couple hundred years when we have too many people out here. Maybe. Not enough people are out there getting it on, if you know what I'm saying. There's not enough love making, not enough babies being brought into the world. But anyways, this is going on to something else, so I'm going to go ahead and hop out of here. I appreciate you guys, man. Tacty out.